All kidding aside, Mr. Chairman, I actually do believe this is an amendment that you all will agree with, because I'm going to assume this is an oversight. This amendment would exclude active and retired members of the military from the restrictions in this bill. Under the current bill, active and retired law enforcement officers are exempt from the restraints of the legislation, but active and retired members of the military are, for some reason, left out. Again, I'm going to assume that was a good faith error. The chairman argued that his opposition to my previous amendment that would have included pregnancy care centers among those exempt from the restrictions in the bill was based upon his concern that those ladies had no training and thus couldn't possibly be trusted to handle these firearms for self-defense. But here's the distinction, obviously, about this amendment is that, any member of the Army, for example, let's take the Army, is exposed to 3 phases of training during their initial entrance into the military. These phases consist of learning how to disassemble, reassemble, and clean their weapon, as well as safe handling procedures. That's phase 1. They learn to actually fire it in a safe and accurate practice, as phase 2. And finally, they learn to shoot targets from 3 firing positions, phase 3. That is equal, if not more, than the training of many law enforcement officers who, again, are covered in your bill draft. Even after this detailed training, members of the military must undergo an annual qualification review. So keep in mind, the guns being utilized in this training are more complicated than the ones being debated today. If members of the military can handle the larger, more intense guns, they should be able to handle a gun that is no more than a deer rifle. Active members of the military have also undergone background checks, of course, to ensure their possession of said weapons. So again, I'm just going to assume that this was an oversight and that you will all agree with this obviously common sense and necessary amendment. With that, I yield back.